This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How are we doing today on this Monday, September 16th? Welcome in. This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. I am Joe Gaither. You are the viewer watching us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. You are checking us out on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither6 for all your social media needs. Or you can subscribe to us on the podcast platform, The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on Amazon. We look forward to having a great week. It's a bye week. Everybody go on vacation. I hope you get your vacations planned in order. Just kidding. We are putting in work on a bye week, and we're excited for it as Alabama has closed a small portion, the first portion of its schedule. And we look forward to the next portion of the schedule, starting with a big matchup against the Georgia Bulldogs. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we've got a lot to digest as we are back in Tuscaloosa. As you can see, if you follow me on social media, you already know, or if you follow our writing at BamaCentral.com, the Alabama Crimson Tide on SI, you know that we were up in Madison. Oh my gosh, and what a weekend it was. And so today for the program, I don't have a whole lot of notes because let me just tell you, it's 4:30 in the afternoon on Monday when we're recording this. So if you're listening or watching it back, we got into Tuscaloosa at 1 a.m. And then I had a lot of work left to do to complete my 24 things that I noticed. Finished early in the morning and put that bad boy up and got a few hours sleep. So I don't have any notes. The plan today is to go and riff off of the 24 things I noticed in Alabama's 42-10 victory over Wisconsin, and discuss the weekend trip in Madison. Tomorrow, we'll get into kind of some other aspects of the game from the weekend and other college football storylines, and we'll kind of like spread the bye week out just a little bit. We'll see if we can't catch up with a few people before we start getting ready for the Georgia Bulldogs. So that's what's going to be the plan today. We're just going to riff a little bit about the weekend, tell you about our trip, tell you about our time in Madison, and really just tell you about our thoughts on the game. And we invite you to jump in and join us all on the comment section at Joe Gaither6 on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You can drop me your comments, questions, queries, or complaints. Before we do that, though, we got to thank our friends at Purple Turtle Roofing for helping us get up to Madison, Wisconsin. They are the number one, the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. They're the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for a free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 and one of their qualified employees will come check out your roof for free, and they're going to make sure that you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. Visit them online today at roofturtle.com. So here we go. Let's talk about the weekend. What do we see? We got up to Madison about midday on Friday, and it was great. I took an Uber down to the campus. I actually started at Camp Randall and got familiar with the area. And for those of you who haven't gone, it was basically the stadium in between the downtown and the campus. And so I was dropped off at the stadium and checked it out, walked around for a little bit, then walked my way to campus. And it was gorgeous. It was absolutely beautiful. All the architecture, they had a lot of unique architecture on campus. They had a massive lake right there, sitting right there next to campus. And so it was a beautiful campus. It was a great day on Friday checking out Madison. But really, you're there for Saturday, the game. And Alabama sitting 2-0, and all the questions were what was going to happen with the offensive line. Are you going to play better? Can the defense sustain? And how will Alabama deal with the crowd noise? Well, Madison was interesting. Camp Randall Stadium was a great venue, and the press box was a great view. We were really, really high up, staring right down on the field, so we got to see a lot of the plays as they developed. But really, the game kind of lost a lot of its juice right there in the first drive. You see Tyler Van Dyke go seven plays, and he goes semi-successfully moving Wisconsin down the field before tearing his ACL. After it's being reported today that it was an ACL tear, that was kind of obvious to the viewers and obvious to us at Camp Randall Stadium. And so, it was an interesting day. Obviously, Alabama winning 42-10. We predicted Alabama to win. We thought, maybe it wouldn't be as high scoring. Maybe some of the offensive problems would carry over. But at the end of the day, Alabama's athletes, you found 3 touchdown passes for Jalen Milroe, 2 rushing touchdowns for Jalen Milroe. You got a big rushing touchdown for Jam Miller. Alabama's athletes wore down and really just got on top of Wisconsin's athletes, and they kind of fell out of the game when Tyler Van Dyke left the game. Brought in backup quarterback Braden Locke, and he orchestrated the 18-play drive in the second half, and we can talk about that as we get into the program. But it really was never a threat, in my opinion, for Alabama's defense, for Alabama to lose the game. And so it was just a lot of fun to be there. Got down to be and jump around at Camp Randall Stadium. I walked down near the end of the third quarter and found my way into the student section. And they were chanting some vulgar chants at one another as kind of a troll job. We won't repeat the words they were saying, but they were saying bleep, 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 bleep back at each other on this. Like you would say, Alabama. They were saying curse word at each other, and the students, the side of the student section that I was in, everybody was laughing along as they were doing it. Curse word. I think there might be some of that on video in my on my social media, but just a different flavor up north. A lot of energy, and look, Wisconsin fell out of the game, as we said, in the first on the first drive. But the people stayed all the way through, jump around, and then the place really, really cleared out. But they were into the game, and they were a great host. On Friday, when I was walking around, I was wearing my Alabama A, and it was a great time, and just kind of checking out the scene and run into several Alabama fans, and you get a roll tide right back to you. But the Wisconsin fans, the people in Madison, a lot of people were, hope you have a good weekend. We're so glad you're here. We hope you win all your games except for this one. I had a small child come up to me and just run up to me and goes, "Go Badgers," right in my face. And I kind of laughed at that. And he walked on, and I heard him tell his dad, he said, "Oh, I told him go Badgers." I just laughed as I kept walking. But the people were very, very nice. It was a great experience in Camp Randall Stadium. We got to be down on the field, and there was a little bit of maybe sneakiness factor there. But we walked right down with our press credential during pregame warmups, and that's what you can see those videos on BamaCentral's YouTube channel. We went right down there on the field, and I watched the right tackle battle, kind of the right tackle questions get answered like 10 feet in front of me. Again, that's right there on BamaCentral's YouTube channel, pregame festivities. But you see, obviously, the Alabama comes out with its regular starting five, first five for the first time in 3 games. You get Caden Proctor, Tyler Brooker, Parker Brailsford, Jaden Roberts, and Elijah Pritchett. And we had, going into the season, it was Pritchett and Formby. And it seems like some of those questions were obviously answered after last week's South Florida performance. Elijah Pritchett coming out and getting the start. Everybody healthy, everybody in their own places, and what ends up happening? Well, it's a better day. You only have 2 sacks, and really the sacks, one was a Jalen Milroe scramble. This is the third quarter where he gets stopped at the 2, a yard or 2 before he gets to the line of scrimmage after he's already decided to scramble. Good job. It counts as a sack. Second sack of the day comes against Ty Simpson. What's that? The second to last drive of the game. So, no, it was, the second to last drive of the game, Alabama's last drive. The offensive line performed really, really well all game long. And what a surprise. Everybody plays in the positions, and they play really well. Shocker. Now, look, is Wisconsin's defensive line, is Wisconsin's defensive front, are they that formidable? No, but neither was South Florida. South Florida is a different kind of athlete, a different kind of defensive line, more of a kind of a jump into gaps and use their speed and to kind of get around you a little bit, and quickness to get around you a little bit. But the offensive line, it's so crucial. You think about last week's performance, and it was not good. It was disastrous. It was, it was heinous. I mean, it nearly cost you the game. If Byron Brown could find the ball downfield, or could have been a more effective passer, you never know what could have happened in that game. It was that bad last week. And I mean, come on, Tyler Booker at left tackle, he did his best, and he played okay. He gave up, some of his inside a good bit, but he played his best. Alabama had no other answers but to play Tyler Booker at left tackle last week. It was a bad performance 2 weeks ago against South Florida, and it gets rectified this past week in Madison, Wisconsin, for tons of rushing yards. I mean, what's the total? Total yards? That's fourth quarter only. I don't want that. We want to see the whole game, baby. We want to see the whole game. Alabama at 181 rushing yards in the game. And really keeping Jalen Milroe upright for those deep shots. And we can talk about some of the, accuracy issues that you continue to see. You see it on the first drive. You miss a pass to Emmanuel Henderson. We'll come back to that. And you miss a pass to the left-hand side to Jeremy Bernard, and you put Graham Nicholson on the spot for a field goal. And goodness gracious, what an interesting moment that was. Graham Nicholson's on the spot for a field goal. And he's the Lou Groza Award winner. Last year, he beat Will Reichert. He beat your boy, Will Reichert, who kicked basically a game-sealing field goal for the Minnesota Vikings in week number 2. And I think the Vikings are 2-0. Good job, Will Reichert. So you miss Will Reichert, but this guy beat Will Reichert out last year for the best kicker in America. This is his first field goal for Alabama in front of 80,000 Wisconsin Badger fans. And my man's can't make it. He pushes it. He keeps it to the right. And Kalen DeBoer today said that they thought that the wind was blowing or was going to push the ball a little bit more. And that was just an unfortunate. Obviously he struck the ball true, and the distance wasn't an issue. But just a small question mark, a little bit of seeping doubt coming in for Alabama, at least at the kicking position. You felt good about it, but you hadn't seen them in 3 weeks. I mean, anybody can make a college extra point. Anybody with composure can make a college extra point at this level. And you see Connor Talty doing the kickoffs. So you look at Graham Nicholson missing the field goal, and you say, okay, you're going to need him eventually to make a field goal. You haven't needed him yet. This was his first attempt on the season and his only attempt so far. He didn't kick another one through the day. Just a little, you want to see him make one maybe against Georgia. Hopefully you won't have to. Hopefully the offense plays as good as hopefully the offense isn't as effective at finding money plays, at finding explosive plays against Georgia. And he doesn't have to kick a field goal. He can stick to the extra points, but it's going to be something that Alabama's going to need going forward. And you want to see Graham Nicholson make his next field goal to start to gain some confidence in an Alabama uniform. But that was an interesting kind of aspect to me. Could have gotten interesting right there. Wisconsin goes down and kicks the field goal on their opening drive after losing the quarterback. And look, you pause right there with the game. And obviously, you look at the end of the game, and it's 42-10. Alabama blows them out. But if you just pause right there and take that small sample size of one drive for Wisconsin and one drive for Alabama, you get the made field goal versus the missed field goal. Okay. You have some accuracy issues downfield with Jalen Milroe. Okay, you lose the quarterback on the injury, but you get quarterback run. Wisconsin hits you with a lot of things right off the bat. They hit you with quarterback read with run. Tyler Van Dyke hit you with the scramble. That's what ended up injuring him. Tyler Van Dyke connected with a pass right up the seam. He was in there for 7 plays, and he was kind of effective. They were moving the ball. I don't think that Wisconsin would have won the game, but I do think that it would have gone a bit differently, because you noticed through the game lots of misfits in the Alabama running game, lots of misfits in the Alabama defense. And you look at Wisconsin, and they ran for 149 yards, and so that's not like a million yards, but that's not a great day defensively, really. And that's net yardage. Do I have sack adjusted yardage? sack-adjusted rushing yard. There you go, 164 yards, right? And Alabama with 190 sack-adjusted rushing yards. So versus the 181 that I had mentioned. So you barely lost any on the 2 sacks. But Wisconsin losing what? That's 10. That's the 15 yards, 16 yards on sacks. They were kind of getting after it in the running game. 4.2 yards per carry for Wisconsin. If Wisconsin's Tyler Van Dyke had stayed healthy, I mean, you liked what you saw from their receiver. What's the young guy though? What's the fellow? Pauling. He ended up catching the touchdown. Will Pauling, 9 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown. He was underneath all game long from the slot. You never know. And so I'm not going to sit here and say that Alabama got lucky. That's not really the case here. But what I will say is that the game changed for Alabama. And for the 3rd straight week, Alabama kind of knew that, okay, we got this in the bag, because you don't really have the capability to pass the ball down the field effectively. Braden Locke ended up 13 for 26 for 125 yards. Like right there, 50% completion, 125 yards. That's really nothing. What's that? Well, what was that per 125? 13 is like right. Okay, 9 yards per completion. So he's doing okay with that decently, but really inefficient. 50%, 50% completion, ineffective. And after LT Overton lit him up in the 3rd or the 4th drive, he started to kind of get a little shaky, right? He started to kind of see the ghost in the pocket, and Alabama coming away with a pretty good day defensively, rushing the passer. LT Overton getting after him with only one official hurry by Devontae Smith. Yeah, quarterback hurry, but you got sacks, 2 sacks. LT had 1, and Quandarius Robinson had another. Ooh, did I call Quandarius Robinson to have another sack? Yes, I did. So that's 3 in 3 games for Quandarius Robinson. And it just changed the game. So you kind of just started to have to play the run and bottle up Wisconsin, and you knew that they would never really get into the game. And so basically you've gone unchallenged just from a skill set standpoint over 3 games. You just had to play a clean game, and good job. You did. You played a clean game. You didn't turn the football over, even though Jalen Milroe had one where almost was a fumble. He was ruled down. You didn't turn the football over. Great job. A+ in that category. You did get some turnovers, and you left some out there. LT Overton with a strip sack. He almost had a second strip sack, getting after the quarterback. He had a great day. You got a bunch of turnovers, but you didn't really play the run that well. Malachi Moore, think about the fumble that Malachi Moore ended up forcing and Alabama recovering, and that put Alabama down in the red zone and made it a short field for the Crimson Tide to jump up 14-3. Malachi Moore makes that tackle, 20, 15, 20, it was 20 yards down the field on the stat sheet. At the 20-yard mark, after a 20-yard game, he makes the tackle, and he just smacks his head. I mean, great job, Malachi. You smack your head right on the ball carrier and pop it right on out. And the second fumble that Alabama ended up getting, oh my goodness, was a great play by Deontay Lawson. And Deontay Lawson has all these guys have such a mixed bag of tape of, oh my gosh, this is so good, but how could you make some of these plays? And it happens throughout the entire game. You can see it and read about it at 24 Things I Noticed in Alabama's 42-10 win. Now, granted, it is a novel because I go through play-by-play, drive-by-drive, kind of trying to notice trends or guys out of position or things that don't look right and things that do look right, things that are impressive. Things that you may not notice while watching a football game is kind of what I try to put into that article. So you get a lot of pressure. You basically have to know that you got to bottle up Wisconsin in the run game, and you're good. And that's kind of what ends up happening as you force them to punt on a handful of drives. You end up turning the ball over. Yeah, they ended up punting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different times. Ended up going to half there 5 different times. And then they turn it over on downs once. They missed a field goal, and they end up turning it over twice. You just give up the 1 touchdown. And even on the touchdown, I think if you look at the 17-play drive, the touchdown to Pauling, on the 17-play drive, if you had subbed Tyler Van Dyke right there and you said, let's take this game plan, this 17-play drive game plan, and you put Tyler Van Dyke in there, now let's do it all game long. Now let's do it all game long because we have the capability to stay on track because Van Dyke gives us that maneuverability to stay on track. What happens in the game? Because they're just dinking and dunking. They're just, death by 1,000 cuts. We'll take our 4-yard run. We'll take our 6-yard run. We'll take our 5-yard run. And then we'll take here's a 7-yard pass. We'll take advantage of your poor tackling and your poor run fits in the run game to move the football just 3 to 5 to 6 yards at a time. And, if we need to go for it on 4th down, on 4th and 1, 4th and 2 or whatnot, we'll be happy to do that. You put Tyler Van Dyke into that game plan, and then you project it in your mind over the course of the entire game. How much different is the ball game? All right, I want to go into Jalen Milroe just a little bit because Jalen had a very interesting game. Jalen Milroe, obviously, you see the 5 touchdowns and you think, how could you say that's a bad game? And it's really not a bad game. It's an amazing game. 12 of 17, only 5 incompletions, and most of them coming early on in the game. I think he had a couple. I think he had the 2 early and he had 2 late, and the rest of it was pretty on point. Two right there. That's in the first quarter. Clock of the first. That's in the first quarter, and that's in the second. And then the last two are in the fourth quarter on the last drive before he comes out. But basically, other than that, he's hitting on his targets. Now let's start with the incompletion on the first drive to Emmanuel Henderson. Overshots, right? Overshots the seam ball, and you can see this on the 24 things I noticed. So overshots the seam ball. Alabama's an empty. Overshots from the seam. Emmanuel Henderson out of the seam. And you got C.J. Dupree out wide, running a short little hitch, and you can't really see what's going on the backside. But he overshoots it. Emmanuel Henderson gets tied up with his defender a little bit, and you could have called pass interference, but it really looked like their legs got tangled up. Jalen Milroe overshoots it. You could say, okay, you don't get the pass interference call because maybe the pass is too long. It's uncatchable. Well, Jalen Milroe on the next drive, okay, he gets a big old run, and then they get into a little bit of trouble. He gets a big old run. He gets into a little trouble, and it's 3rd and 7. The next drive, 3rd and 7 from the whatever it was, whatever the scoring play ended up being. From the 31. Okay, from the 31, he gets the exact same look. And they're in the exact same formation. You're an empty. You got the running back all the way out wide to the left. You got C.J. Dupree all the way out wide to the right. And instead of Emmanuel Henderson in the slot, this time you've got Ryan Williams. And I think this shows really, really good growth by Jalen Milroe. 2 things. First, to recognize, okay, I've got cover 1. I am recognizing coverages. He's very clearly this year recognizing and manipulating coverages and seeing things down the field. And so that's helping his already, look, down the field, that's where he's most comfortable throwing the football. So you may as well make it easy on him down the field. And that's what we're really doing right here. We manipulate it. We're in cover 1. We see that their star safety, Hunter Waller, is playing basically free safety. We've just got to keep the ball away from him. We got to trust our guy in the slot to get out on the outside release, and we've just got to keep it on a line away from the safety over the corner. Boom, simple as that. And first shot to Emmanuel Henderson. Yeah, we are away from the safety. Okay, Emmanuel Henderson doesn't get a clear win. We are out in front of him. Only he can get it. Not the corner won't have a chance at it. Yeah, maybe too long. Henderson gets tangled up, but right decision. We see it, right? We come back to it on the next drive. It's not Emmanuel Henderson. This time, 5-star freshman Ryan Williams. Boom, touchdown. He gets the clear win. It's an easier sight. He sees it. Jalen Milroe sees it because he's got the step, and he puts it right on him for the touchdown. Just beautiful. And so for all the complaining about what can Jalen Milroe really do? How can he really read? How is he? His intermediate passing this, and he struggles with that. He is making progress. That's very clear. And look, we've all known the downfield passing is what he's comfortable with. He comes back to it at the end of the first half to Jeremy Bernard. I mean, first off, they have a great completion to Ryan Williams on the sideline with 36, 37 seconds left. The first play and to spark the drive, and boom, you hit the next one to Jeremy Bernard for 26 yards and a touchdown. But the play to Ryan Williams on the sideline was so interesting to me because it looked like Wisconsin was in a cover 3, and it looked like maybe the deep third safety on Ryan Williams' side got kind of sucked in with Jeremy Bernard running kind of a bit of a slant or post or so, and Ryan just kind of snuck himself out there down the sidelines, and he gets a good pass while under pressure. And Alabama's underway. But on the next play, basically, again, when Jalen Milroe sees it, when he's confident in what he's seeing, you get a motion on the next play. And so you've left Jeremy Bernard all alone on your left. And you know that basically he's got a deep half responsibility because the right side of the right side of the formation is overloaded. It looks like they're in some form of a cover 6, and boom, Jeremy Bernard pushes it to the post and then back out to the corner, and Jalen Milroe drops it right in the bucket. It's accurate. It's as accurate of a pass as you can get because it's right there on the sidelines. It's he gets the feet down. There's nowhere else that it can be, right? And so there is growth in Jalen Milroe's game. But just as there's growth in Jalen Milroe's game, there's still some challenging tape for me to digest. When I look at it, I see 2 different third down completions to Justice Haynes right there. It's still in the first half. This is in the second quarter when the game's still kind of in somewhat of a balance. You get 2 third down completions to Justice Haynes, and both of them end up short of the sticks. And so it's like, what are we doing here? The first one, you're throwing it out to Justice Haynes, and he's run a 7-yard route on a 3rd and 9, and so you don't get the first down. The second one is even worse to me because it looks like Nick Sheridan may have schemed up a potential touchdown. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. You need to get 3rd and 4. Yeah, 3rd and 4. 3rd and 4 from the Alabama 20 at 5:03 in the second quarter. You get another cover 1 look, and he schemes Kobe Prentice on a bit of an arrow, and you've got CJ Dupree on a flag route, and so you've put Hunter Waller in another conflicting position if you just give it enough time. But Jalen just immediately whips it out to Justice Haynes behind the line of scrimmage, and Justice gets tackled on the line of scrimmage for a gain of 1. And so it goes to 3rd and 4 to 4th and 3, and you're punting. And so it's like some of these things are still so. I don't know if Jalen didn't see the coverage or if he thought that he just trusted Justice Haynes to make the play from behind the line of scrimmage, go break a tackle, get us 4 yards. Maybe that's it, or what he was thinking. Obviously, you get the completion, and that's not a negative there, but it's just that there are still some things in Jalen's game. A lot of people have rightfully complained over the last year and change that, he holds on to the football too long. He holds himself into sacks. But in some of these instances, like just reference, he's throwing the ball before he was allowing things to develop as well. So it's like a feel thing with Jalen. When he's not feeling it, when the timing's not quite right, then it can look as ugly as it might get, right? Now, thankfully, he sat there this year with no interceptions. 2 lost fumbles? I guess both snaps go under his record. 2 lost fumbles, and he lost another, or he fumbled another, but got it back. So you've avoided the disastrous plays. You've avoided the we're throwing a pick six, or we're giving them possession back. We're allowing, goodness gracious, James Burnham to bomb punts away. How many punts was this, James? 4 punts, right? Why does this say 5? Did somebody else take a punt? That's interesting. Maybe someone else took a punt. I'll have to look at that. 4 punts for James Burnham. 212 yards, 53-yard average, 64 yards was his long. Three of his 4 punts ended up inside the 20. So just like, okay, Jalen, you're allowing your punter, your weapon, to put your defense back on the field, to give your athletic defense chances to make plays, chances to make havoc plays, chances to make game-wrecking plays, the sacks, the interceptions, the forced fumbles. And look, Deontay Lawson, I think I already talked about Malachi Moore's fumble, Deontay Lawson and his fumble that he created. What was beautiful play. He dips in, he swims below the center, and he basically tackles the running back by the ball, and he rips the ball out, and Alabama recovers and basically puts up another touchdown in a play and a half. Breaks it wide open. So Alabama, you're making these havoc plays, but there's still room for growth in Jalen Milroe's game, in the offense's game. I mean, goodness gracious, you look at Justice Haynes. You've had a really, really hard time getting him going this season outside of a couple of runs. Most of the time when 2 carries for Justice, 17 yards. So there have been some concerning things that have popped up, but a lot of good signs on Saturday. And the good signs were the Jalen Milroe deep ball was working. I didn't particularly like the red zone play calling. Yes, Jalen Milroe had the rushing touchdown on 2 different occasions, but it just kind of felt a little cheap to me. A little bit like you're playing Madden and the cheap play will work if you run it 3 times in a row, or if you run it a certain number of times, it's finally going to work. And obviously Jalen Milroe, I think he's the best athlete, the second best athlete, right behind Travis Hunter, maybe in college football. And so it's just like you're obviously going to use him, but I wanted to see a little more creativity down there in the red zone. It made me think that maybe a lot of what we've seen so far is just vanilla, because you want to just kind of get base concepts working. Now, if that's the case, then you really got problems in the run game, because you have left some gaps that Shez Malusi and what was the other kid's name? Tawi Walker and Katie Yakimelli. They had some good running back names up there at Wisconsin this past week. And they found some holes. They found some gaps. The 3 guys all together, what was it? Let me find it officially. The 3 guys all together rushing. Malusi had 66. Yakimelli had 39. And Tawi Walker had 26. I mean, you ran the ball pretty effectively. I'm concerned whether it's a we don't know our assignments issue, or whether it's a we can't win. We're not physical enough to win our assignments. I'm hopeful that it's, and really, it could be neither. It could be we know our assignments, but it's coming really, really fast, buddy. It's happening really fast because we're seeing live reps and live action. I mean, think about it. Look, when you played football, even 5 years ago, even 10 years ago, the camp was so much different. These guys aren't seeing a ton of tackle football live action. We're doing thud in practice. We're thudding them up. We're thudding them up when we're in shells. And look, nothing wrong with that, because you want to keep your players healthy for game day. Absolutely, these days, their players' health is much more at the forefront of the sport these days, and that's to be celebrated, not condemned. But the byproduct of that is you get fewer live reps. You get fewer live repetitions. So what's Alabama doing right now through these 3 games with these 3 opponents is we're going through what we know with our base plays. That's kind of what I've assessed. You're going through what we know. We're going through our base plays, and we are seeing and gaining experience against live opponents. Because look, we don't want to beat each other up. Obviously, there was a couple of scrimmages in fall camp, but it wasn't like every day you're banging helmets and we're taking guys to the ground. It's different when the whistle is blown and the other helmet is a different decal. And so I think that's what you're dealing with right now. And so I wonder if it's not a mental thing and it's not a physical thing, but it's an experience thing. It's hey, we're running new systems and we just got to practice it. We just got to practice it. These guys are talented athletes. These guys are really, really good football players. You're recruiting the best of the best at Alabama. We've talked about the 24/7 talent rating before. I think more so that it's just an experience issue. Now, look, can you gain any experience between now and next Saturday when Georgia comes to town? No. So you just got to really dial in what you're doing over the next 13 days or so. Alabama getting the day off today, got the day off yesterday. And so they got to get back. They're going to get back to work in a day or so. The coach is getting a good game plan together. And of that, I'm very confident in. You've seen 3 weeks worth of little wrinkles and 3 weeks worth of play calling and 3 weeks worth of decisions. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the red zone play calling this past week, but I think it was a little bit oversimplified because we want to, keep the card right there tucked in our chest, Nick Sheridan. Okay. And I understand that. I think that really what we've seen so far is just the guys trying to ease into their system, get live reps. But over the next 13 days, I'm going to be concerned for Alabama and its run defense. I think that Georgia will take advantage of that in a big way. Now, obviously, Georgia having a big old offensive line injury this past week. We'll see if Tate Ratledge can play, but that's a discussion for another day. Let's close it up with Wisconsin by basically just first thanking our boss. It was a great time. It was a great trip. We really, really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to be up there. And despite the long travel, it was definitely worth it. We hope that you enjoyed it. We've got a lot of video from the trip up there at the BamaCentral YouTube channel. Most of it that I took. We were inside the student section during jump around. So in the third quarter, I get down there and the band's playing a song that everybody's singing. Do you want to love me forever? And so everybody in the student section singing it. And then they turned to the video board, and I didn't realize it, but I was realizing it real time. Every one of the student sections was layered in a section A, B, C, D, G, so on and so forth. And they basically numbered off a video presentation of a student section race. And these kids went crazy. These kids went crazy when their section, their little decal was running across the screen. And when the one decal crossed the finish line first, the section whose it was what, 1 or 2 sections over for me. They went nuts. And as soon as the decal went across the finish line, it went bump, bump, bump. And everybody just went nuts. It was great. It was a lot of fun. And I think that that's really unique to look. What was the score at that point? You still had one more touchdown, right? It was 38. It was 35-10. Yeah, I believe you still had the Josh Cuevas touchdown. I think that was a fourth quarter touchdown, if my timing is correct. And so you're down 25 points, and it's not looking good for you. And those folks went crazy. And then you had the Josh Cuevas touchdown, and they all cleared out. And so it was a lot of fun to be there. And the folks in Wisconsin treated us very nicely. We enjoyed a couple of good meals up there. Had some Spotted Cow, which is apparently a beer you can only get in Wisconsin. And it was really good. So it was a great time. And I'm really looking forward to our next trip that I will be on is at Vanderbilt. I've got 2 more trips this year at Vanderbilt and at Oklahoma. Some of our other BamaCentral team members will go to Knoxville for Tennessee, and we'll go to Baton Rouge for LSU. And so we will definitely have you covered for those road games, all those road games. Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. Katie Wyndham leading our coverage, myself, Hunter DeCiver, and we got a great team around us. So we're going to wrap this up. We thank everybody for joining us. We want to thank our friend Derek Daniel for sponsoring the program. You can call Derek Daniel at 205-758-3391 for home life auto insurance needs, really any insurance needs. You need renter's insurance, you need boater's insurance, trailer insurance, an umbrella policy to get everything under one spot. You can bundle it all together with Derek Daniel at State Farm. Call him today at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel and State Farm is there. we're going to get out of here for the day. We thank everybody who's joined us. If you want to see any of the pictures, I've put some up on the social media. I think that will be my next move, is to get a spare minute and kind of look through what I took and put a little gallery up and really kind of savor that. If you want to check it out at Joe Gaither 6 on your favorite social media machine. But we do encourage you to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform, The Joe Gaither Show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon. And we'll get out of here and we'll talk to you tomorrow as this bye week continues. We'll talk about what the coaches said, really, tomorrow. Today was just like riffing about the trip. We'll talk about what the coaches said. Because Kane Womack was really Kane Womack's on the same page. That run defense has got a problem, and they gotta fix it in 13 days, and we'll see if they can. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about what Kane Womack had to say tomorrow right here on the program, right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.